So we have all that activity now taking place in a synapse with first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth messengers. But what happens then after this activity has taken place? What happens to all those neurotransmitters that are floating around there in the synapse? There are primarily three ways in which the synapse activity is terminated. The first is that there are enzymes that can be in that synaptic cleft, which break down the neurotransmitter, and then it is reprocessed. One of the primary medication that we will be talking about are the monoamine oxidase inhibitors. And so this is a way that we stop the breakdown of the neurotransmitter, thereby increasing the presence of the neurotransmitter in the synapse, thereby increasing the activity and hopefully getting the desired result of less depression, less anxiety, all of those different things. Another way is that there is a wonderful mechanism, and in Stahl's book, I think he shows some of his little graphics where there are these neurotransmitter reuptake transporters or neurotransporters, and there's the sertraline transporter, dopamine transporter, and he has them all listed there with their initials. Now, I kind of picture those as little tugboats, and the neurotransmitter is down there in the synapse, and it's maybe too many or it's done its thing, and so they get in this little tugboat, and the tugboat goes back up into the axon, and there it gets back into the vesicles, and it's reprocessed so that later, when a calcium ion comes floating down and hits that vesicle, pop, out comes more neurotransmitters, and there's more activity taking place in the synapse. Those medications are the reuptake inhibitors, and we will be looking at those quite a bit in the next couple of weeks as we talk about depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, etc. Now, finally, there are other places where it's called kind of just a diffusion or dispersion, that instead of being enzymatically broken down or instead of being transported back up, these neurotransmitters just kind of float away, disappear into the glial cells that we talked about in one of the earlier slides. About the only one that is done that way is acetylcholine, ACH, which we're going to talk about again in the next slide. And I also remind you of that wonderful link at the bottom of this slide, the Brain at McGill.